Yeah, that's all fair, and I'll give you at least two vectors of response. On your comment about Plateau, I agree, and we need to catch our breath a little bit, right? Seeing the plateau, or at least perceived plateau, this week. Let's leverage it, right? And it gives people a little bit of a chance to catch up and say, okay, I don't have to worry about the next change for the next model, or should I flip, you know, from Codex to Claude Code, or pick your favorite coding tool of the day. So I think the plateau is good. I think we're also seeing other things emerge, like spec-driven development, right? That's kind of emerged on the heels of vibe coding, where vibe coding was taking up all the oxygen in the room, and is really good for prototyping and ideating. But spec-driven development, bringing more standard product development processes to leveraging agentic coding, like define requirements, turn it into a spec, and then let your agent or agents loose on a spec with other constructs too. I'm super oversimplifying it, but I feel like the plateau is helping other things mature in this space.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because, first off, thank you for bringing up the spec-driven concept because, of course, you know, I hadn't really thought of it in those terms before. But if you think about how people configure, let's say, OpenClaw, it is actually almost spec-driven in that essentially you're creating a markdown file that describes what you want that agent to do and how you want it to do it. So it is an entirely opposite of the context that Olivier was bringing up, which is this sort of this thing is amazing and magical and does it all. It's, and I agree with you. I was just at Click Connect, a conference for data and analytics pros. The conversation there around agents was very much what the two of you are saying. Essentially, these people are extremely jaded about general purpose tools and extremely focused on the idea that this statistical analysis technique that is large language models could be very useful for this and that thing over there. And so let's try to make a thing that does those things. And I think that's a lot more healthy. I think it's a lot more realistic and it's a lot more likely to have real world benefits. I understand if I was the CEO of OpenAI, I would want to make it sound like I was building, the HAL 9000 plus the bridge computer from the enterprise, and maybe not the Terminator, but, maybe, I don't know. And because I would want to make it sound like my technology could literally take over the world and result in, massive job displacement, at least, maybe not job cuts, but let's say just job displacement.
Sure.
Again, I'm pretending to be the CEO of this thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm not stupid enough to say I'm going to fire half the world, but they seem to be. But the point is, I might, go out there and say like, this thing is omniscient and artificial general intelligence, artificial super intelligence is going to take over the world. That's just good marketing. In reality, this plateau that we've described, which is absolutely true. I mean, what we've seen is definitely a case of diminishing returns as these models are trained and trained and trained, that, they're getting sort of asymptotically closer, but not really touching actual intelligence. And that's okay. Maybe we have to say, wait a second, maybe this is not HAL 9000. Maybe this is just a really good statistical text processing engine or graphical processing engine or something like that. And maybe we should be using it for that and trying to take advantage of that capability. I think that's kind of where you were going, right, Olivier?
Yeah, it was. And I mean, I write for a living. I do a lot of analysis for a living. And of course, I have to use AI just to see for my own personal, productivity, but also out of curiosity, so I could write about it, halfway intelligently. And I have to tell you, I'm reluctant to call it AI at all. It's not really artificial intelligence.
Sure.
I'm annoyed.
A word
Yeah.
is doing a lot more heavy lifting.
Yeah,
Yes.
it really does. We're not quite there yet. And